I'm very proud of the wee song. I watch it from a distance, and its journey and its kind of adventures that it has, and I'm always totally kind of bemused by the power of the wee song that people have taken it to their hearts, and it's such a sort of because it's played at football games, rugby games, weddings, funerals. It's become part of common culture, which very few songs are able to do. And
Mhm.
it's not just for Scots. It's unusual that it must be more about the sense of place rather than specifically Scotland, because like you say, the Americans, and I mean, they all love it, and the Irish think it's theirs. It's a fascinating it's fascinating little song, and yeah, I'm so proud of it. I mean, for something that I wrote in my early 20s on a beach in Brittany, I mean, just being homesick,
Uh,
and then watching the pipe bands playing it at the Edinburgh Tattoo or something, I mean, you're going, how did that happen?
you must have had it covered by a great many artists.
Yes, had hundreds of covers, some fantastic covers and some pretty hairy covers, but it's lovely that people feel that they want to sing it, and I still think Frankie Miller's version's the best of the covers.
Now, you're going from Caledonia to Carnegie Hall, which is something else. Have you played there before?
I have played in Carnegie Hall before. A number of years ago, I played. It was a big songwriting. Was on one of the tours I was doing. It was a big songwriting concert with lots of different American songwriters, and I happened to be on tour at the time. And so it was. Yeah, it's great. I I think the time I did it before, I got to sing one song or something. I mean, it was like there was a lot of songwriters on the show. But yeah, it's an amazing place. I've played in the Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline, so it's quite nice to go, go there. But actually, I was talking to somebody the other day there. I was doing an interview. I have one of Andrew Carnegie's piano. In fact, the piano that's behind me here.
Wow. Wow.
And it belonged to Andrew Carnegie, and his granddaughter used to live along the road from me here in and she inherited two pianos from Skibo Castle when it was closed down. Carnegie had Skibo, and that was a big Steinway grand and this upright Bechstein, and she had no room in her house for this Bechstein, so she advertised it in the Blairy, the Blairgowrie Advertiser, the local newspaper, and I was lucky I was able to buy it. It's a 100-year-old Bechstein. It's beautiful, and it's one of my prized possessions. So. Yes, I've got a Carnegie connection in Butterstone here.
Before you go, obviously, Frankie Miller, I mean, we talked about the covers there, but Frankie Miller was probably one of the standout covers, wasn't it? And that kind of changed everything for the song.
Yes, Frankie took what I had written as a ballad and then put this hard, edgy, rocky thing on it, which then made it immediately accessible to lots of people who are more into heavy, into rocky kind of
Ah,
interpretations. So it immediately made I don't know, it was a real edgy kind of, and I loved it when I heard it the first time. I was going, I'd never heard the song that way. I'd written it as a wee 3/4 ballad, but when I heard him singing it, and I'm going, wow, that's brilliant. That he was able to see the rock song inside the Caledonia, and I think Fish. I think was it Fish? What's the band called?
Marillion.
Marillion, yeah, they
Yeah.
did a they did a version of it as well, and it was like a typical. It was Marillion. It was everything was thrown at it. The rock band, the orchestra, the whole. It was like a big prog rock thing. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It was brilliant, and I'd never heard it sung. I'd never heard it that way either. So it's been fascinating to watch it. And there's probably not a night goes by that there's somebody standing on a table at a party somewhere singing it.
Oh,
It's
yes.
it's
Uh-huh.
it's it's fascinating.
There's an awful lot of calls over the years for that song to become the national anthem of Scotland. How would you feel about that? Or how do you feel about that?
Well, I think people pick their song that they want. I mean, I'm a great believer in, as a songwriter, in casting the songs out there and letting them have their own lives. You know what I mean? And I think the people, if people want something enough, then they'll do it, and if they don't, they won't do it. And for me, it's just I have no control over that. I just watch it from the sidelines, and yeah, it's probably a good idea. It's probably a nice idea to have something that's a bit more positive, maybe, maybe a bit more lovey than,
Uh,
as a bit more kind of sense of place. I don't know. I mean, that's a discussion for other people. I mean.
uh. And you said you've had
I'm
a
not
lot.
desperate, I'm not desperate for it to be the national
Uh,
anthem. I
but you'd
mean,
be proud if it was,
but
wouldn't
I'd
you?
be very proud if it was. Yeah, yeah. But
Uh,
it's nothing to do with me.
mhm. And you mentioned the covers. I mean, you mentioned there's been some good covers and some hairy covers. What are the ones that stand out, or what are the ones where you thought, wow, so and so's covered my song?
Yeah, well, there was a lovely version of it by Paolo Nutini, you
Uh-huh.
know,
That's
and there was another, and what was the other one that I really liked? Oh,
Amy McDonald.
Amy McDonald did a beautiful version of it. And these are pop people, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So it was quite good. It was nice for me, for even the pop people, to kind of, I've always worked in a kind of acoustic music kind of world, which is not the pop world,
Uh-huh.
and so it was nice that they covered it and made such lovely versions of it. And but there's some other ones that don't come to mind, but yeah, it's and the bad ones I've forgotten.